Style takes too long. I can't fit anything. I have nothing in this closet. I'll just stay home. I need to purge my closet. Oh, but not that dress. Yo, Taylor here. If you ever thought to say one of these phrases, then this show is for you. Join me at the Style Table where we'll have candid and fun conversations about real women's style issues and wardrobe dilemmas. We will discuss solutions and ideas that will give you a big sigh of relief. You'll learn ways to save money, make money, and enrich the lives of others with the clothes in your closet. We are going to take the stress out of your style. Hey everybody, it is Yo on the Go back here at the Style Table. I am here with the lovely Dele Kooley. She is the leader of D&I strategy for Microsoft Global Talent and Acquisitions. She's a speaker and a coach and a board member. Welcome to the show, Dele.
Hi, Yo. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Now, we talked before the interview, and you were telling me your story of how you came and how you got into becoming this leader in Microsoft. How did that come about?
Yes, so it's an interesting story, and I always say it starts with one girl, 4 suitcases, and $1,500. But before I get into that, I'll just say that I am the master of the pivot. I spent 20 years traveling the world as a military spouse and family member, raising my children wherever the military sent us. And each move required me to pivot and reinvent myself. And sometimes that meant reinventing my career as well. So all of that changed when my marriage came to an end. And I left my career with $1,500, 4 suitcases, and a girl. That was the first time that I chose to live my life on purpose, and it required me to rebuild my life from the ground up. And so that's how I moved from being a secondary income, furloughed civilian employee making $18,000 a year to a multiple 6-figure income. I recently got remarried and I have an amazing partner, and together we're raising our gifts with purchase and creating the life of our dreams. And it's the lessons that I learned during that time and along the way that I've applied to my own life, and that has created the ultimate pivot to joy that I now experience today. And that's what I coach my clients on as well, how to make your own personal pivots to create joy in your own life.
So you're also doing public speaking, so you're out there. Tell us some of your events that are coming up. Any events coming up that you have to show up?
Yes. So I just recently returned from Dana Point, where I spoke at the Bicycle Leadership Conference. It's the conference for C-suite executives in the bicycle industry. And this week, later on in the week, I'll be part of a panel talking about how to create your own roadmap to success. And in 2 weeks, I'll be in another panel discussion where we also talk about the topic of diversity and inclusion and being a woman in the corporate workforce.
Oh, wow. So tell me this, what is it like to do a presentation in front of a business that is bicycle? What is that? I mean,
well, we don't have bicycles. Like, when I was asked to speak, my best friend is an avid biker, and so I live vicariously through her. I don't have a desire to go out and participate in one of the races. Like, she rides hundreds of miles. They are incredible what she does. And so, one, kudos to her because she is amazing just because she goes out there and she gets after it. When I was asked to speak at this conference, it brought me back to my own childhood, thinking about my first bicycle and what and the freedom that a bicycle gives you as a young person and even as an adult. And then there's also all of the accessories and things like that that go with the bicycles that made me excited. So that's the joy that the conversation sparked for me initially is, how do bicycles empower young people, young women? How does it open doors and opportunities? So when I was given the opportunity to go and speak at this conference, I was like, yes, let's do it. I want to go talk. Not only do I want to go talk about how can you expand your aperture for talent to create more opportunities in an industry that is demographically middle-aged white males. That's their primary customer. But when I went, it was an amazing group of humans that the women in that industry have done an amazing job of coming together to lift each other up. And I am all about empowering people to do more, be more, and create more abundance in their life. So it was a great opportunity to just go learn about something from a different perspective, because that has been my entire life, is perspective shifts. I was born in Jamaica. I moved to the US where I relocated to a completely and totally different culture. I grew up in Wichita, Kansas, of all places. So we're talking about night and day differences when you think about perspective shifts. And my life has just been one series of pivots that create a different perspective and expand my aperture. So I'm all about experiencing new things, meeting new people, and getting new perspectives.
If you're not a bike enthusiast, but your friend is, you still have to pivot, because you have to make sure that you can reach your audience in a way that they can respect, because this is their expertise. But your expertise is the pivot, is making yourself relatable and helping them see something in a different way.
Yes.
And approaching it. So that to me is so awesome. So, I'm going to ask you, what you wear to that conference?
Yes.
Did you wear biker shorts?
So I did. Yeah. I'm all about fashion because I totally believe that you should dress appropriately for whatever occasion it is. So of course my military background kicks in because I was protocol for years. And so we talk about what's the uniform for the day, or when you go out and travel, there's a whole itinerary that tells you what should you wear at this point in the day, what should you be wearing at this point in the day. So of course, same thoughts, same conversations, and I landed on a blue linen suit with a white shirt. We were in Dana Point. The weather is amazing. You're right next to the water. So very professional, beachy vibe, and an amazing pair of heels that were white with black accents, and fantastic outfit, if I don't say so myself.
Well, that sounds fantastic. And it sounds, first off, comfortable. It sounds professional. And it just sounds like it's just on point. It's just something it's easy style that you cannot go wrong.
Yes.
With. It will always work. Always work. And especially if it's tailored correctly, but especially when you're doing speeches, you need to be tailored where everything fits. You don't have to worry about anything moving and shifting. And so that's why it's important to wear clothes that fit.
It is, because you're not thinking about what you're there for if you're not comfortable. And I view my clothing as part of my personal brand. And it also represents my feelings, whether it's an extension of my feelings or whether it's intended to create new feelings. Like, sometimes you're not feeling your best. And so for me, I'm all about put on the power suit, put on the power whatever, because it will change your vibe. It changes your vibe. It changes how you feel. So when you step out on stage and you feel good and you feel strong and you feel empowered, that's where the magic happens. It's not just the words that are coming out of your mouth. It's also, how do you feel? What is the vibe and what is the energy? And my clothing is 100% an extension of my personal brand and self-care. It's the gift to myself that helps me go out there and do the things.
That is a perfect way to close on this first half of the show. When we come back, we will be speaking with Dele about a story. She has this great story about how her style changed her opportunity. Hey, everybody, it's Yo on the Go. We're back with the lovely Dele, who's going to tell us her story about how her style changed her job opportunities or life's opportunities. Dele, welcome back.
Thank you. Yes. So I'll start with the lesson that I learned early in life and how it helped me when it was time to create another pivot in my life. So I was a lifeguard for many years, and my first role that brought me to the Air Force Base, which is how I met my husband, how I changed the trajectory of my life and ended up traveling around the globe and raising children in the US and in Europe. So I went to interview for a job as a lifeguard at the base, and it's a lifeguarding job. But when I went to the interview, I did get dressed appropriately. I can still remember to this day what I was wearing because of the comment that the hiring manager made after I had been hired and we were talking about why he chose me. And so I had chosen a nice button-down top and a long skirt with a pair of sandals. And it was perfectly appropriate for a lifeguarding job. I did make a decision consciously to get dressed for the job because I always believe that you should dress for the job that you want, like a couple ways down the road, not just the one that you're interviewing for today. So I got dressed. I went in. I was more than qualified for the role. I had references. I had my resume. And when I was offered the role and later onboarded, one of my conversations was, as I'm always trying to learn, was why me? Why did you choose me? And he said, there were a lot of people that came in and interviewed for the job, and there were way more applicants than there were individuals that I would be able to hire that day. But one of the things that made you stand out was you were the only person that got dressed like they were going on a job interview. Everyone else showed up in t-shirts and shorts, which there's nothing wrong with t-shirts and shorts. But for me, that was an affirmation that my decision to get dressed and present and go out into the world with presenting myself in a way that aligned with my personal brand, that it worked out for me. So fast forward to I've taken a job at Amazon, and I have this amazing leader that I work with who has been nothing but supportive in helping me to build my resume because I've made my career aspirations clear to her. And so she's given me the opportunities to prove myself and build my resume. And now it's time to look for the next job. I don't know where it's going to come from. I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm doing all the things that will allow me to have credibility in whatever that next job is. And so I learn about an opportunity in executive development. That is my place of passion, is in coaching, leadership, and development. And so there's a role that comes open. And I was so excited about finding something that aligned with my passion. And one of the things that the new hiring manager said about me was, I've met you before, and every time that I've met you, you show up as someone who has it together, who is confident, is in control, and knows what they're doing. And aside from the fact that she'd met me in passing a few times, had everything to do with how I put myself out there every day. And that starts with my mindset and extends to how I choose to show up every day. And so it was really great again to hear that it was how I showed up and how I presented myself. And that is a package deal. It's not just, I can't imagine that if I walked in with a pair of leggings and was not well put together, that someone would view me as someone that's in control and command, and that my attention to detail is strong, because that's not what you're getting from me if you don't know me and you don't know my work. Yes, all of those things are true about my work, but how would you know that about me if you had never met me? It has everything to do with how you
Exactly.
go out into the world.
And that's so real. That is so real because people make that instant decision about you from the moment you walk in the door.
Yes, because we're humans. I mean, as a human, and that's all we can be. Our brains are hardwired from an evolutionary perspective to make decisions that will keep us safe, that will get us to where we need to be. Like, our brain makes all of these decisions without us ever really giving it a lot of thought. And so, how we perceive someone is definitely one of those shortcuts. Now, because I work in diversity, equity, and inclusion, I also want to say that that also leads to unconscious bias. And and so I don't want anyone to think that I'm encouraging people to take mental shortcuts. It's just recognizing who we are as humans and what it is that we're faced with every day when we go out into the world. And so it's that gift of self-love and making sure that I am putting myself out there in the best possible way, whether it's through my fashion, through my interactions with people, because when someone walks away from me, I want them to have the same thoughts about me that they would when they see me, when they know me, when they're sharing information with someone else.
Right. I always like with my business as a wardrobe strategist. I agree. It's also a part of self-care. Taking care of yourself and being prepared and not having the stress. That's what I do. I help women and men take the stress out of their lives. You have so much going on. Treat yourself to having someone help you prepare your wardrobe, especially if that's not your jam.
Right.
Some people, that's not what they just, they wear clothes because they have
Well, we
to.
all have to wear
I get
clothes
it. They're
because we have
busy.
to. That doesn't mean
We have to,
it
right,
doesn't mean
right.
that we
But I
can't
mean,
look nice when we go out into the world.
exactly. It takes the same amount of effort to put on leggings and a sweatshirt as it does to put on a pair of slacks and a button down. I mean,
And at the end of
it
the
really isn't
day,
that difficult.
like, you will feel so much better. I even today, so during COVID, that was the best gift that I ever gave to myself, was I still got up every day and I still got dressed. Now, I didn't wear the
Hmm.
same thing I'd walk into an executive development course wearing, but I did get dressed and put something together that made me feel good every day, because during a time when there was so much uncertainty and so much going on in the world that I had no control over, the gift that I could give to myself was getting dressed in something that was beautiful or made me feel good. And that could be a t-shirt with a funny saying. Like, my favorite sweatshirt during COVID was the sweatshirt that had a tartan plaid print that said cabin fever. Like, that made me laugh every time I saw it on a video when I was on a Zoom call with a team. Was here I am wearing this fever shirt when no one can go outside. Like, but it looked nice. It looked nice. I was put together and I was taking care of myself. And my slipper wardrobe may have increased to match all of my outfits. Like, that's who I am. It doesn't mean that everybody else has to be that way. But I do know that quite frequently when I run into people and they see me, I try not to go out of the house not having put myself together. They will comment on it. And they will also comment on what they're wearing and say, "Oh, I embraced the stay at home on my couch look, but I'm in the office." if that's the feeling that you have when you see someone, that can't feel good.
Right. Right. And frankly, how you show up during COVID, think about it. When you're in the office, you have opportunities to show up correctly in the face of leadership to show your stuff. When you're at home on Zoom and you're showing your stuff like not ready, unkept, you're taking away an opportunity from yourself. So just put something on. I talk to many women who say they just go ahead and get fully dressed, even for Zoom. Just now during COVID, it was just, we didn't know what was going to go on. We didn't know if we needed Noah and the ark. It's not, we didn't know what was going on. Once we started seeing a light at the end of the tunnel, now it's time to start getting back to our old selves and getting mentally prepared. And some of that is just getting fully dressed for your Zoom. I've talked to so many women who said, some of them even said they put on shoes and everything. I'm like, wow, okay. For their Zoom calls, because it's getting them mentally ready to go back into the office and get back into the world.
You never know who you're going to run into in the hallways, first of all, or when you are coming in and out of the bathroom, because a building is very large. And so you may not see anyone until you go to come in and out of the only restroom that's on the floor. That's when you will see people that you may not normally see. And it's just such a gift, and it doesn't have to be hard. Like, motion creates energy. We all have to get up in the morning. We all have to get dressed. So that motion, you get to decide what kind of energy you want to create as you're getting dressed. Mm-hmm. Do you want to create the kind of energy that's, I want to snuggle up on the couch under a blanket? Like, is that the mindset that's going to give you all of the things that you need to go out and kill it that day? Sometimes that is the energy that you want. It's usually my Sunday energy vibe, not my Monday through Friday vibe. But
right,
like, it's that motion.
And that's how we have to, and that's how we have to think about it. Is when you approach the day, are you making sure during the week you're not approaching the week like it's your Sunday vibe, even though you're on Zoom? So, Dele, please tell us, how can we contact you? How can we find out about your services?
So most of my clients come to me by word of mouth. I do have an Instagram, Dele Kooley Coaching, and I will be launching a website. We've gotten to the point where I have a wait list, and so in order to manage the wait list and be able to continue to provide services and scale my services, I'll be launching a website in the next 2 months.
Oh, awesome. And as you guys know, you can always find me on atthestyletable.com. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, at the Style Table LLC.